I am Emily McKinney-Pavlik, and I have with me my neighbor, Mr. Charles Matlock. He is a Toyota equipment salesman, not the cars, and he is going to talk with us about building relationships with customers. And he has a lot of experience with this because he's worked with Toyota for many years and is related to the citrus industry. So, Mr. Matlock, how long have you been a salesman for Toyota?
Well, I was with a competitor for 24 years, and I've been with Toyota for approximately 13 years now.
Okay, and you sell the equipment, not the cars.
Correct.
What type of equipment?
Well, we sell the Toyota, it's Toyota industrial equipment, which is the materials handling end of it, which is the forklift part of it. We also have other lines from trailer spotters to the JLG construction equipment. And things like that. So forklifts is our main line, and then we also have the other lines too that we sell.
Okay, so approximately 13 years you've been with them, and I know about a decade ago, 10 years ago, the citrus industry was hit really hard with the citrus greening, and I'm sure that they are avid users of Toyota equipment to help get their farms going and help keep them running. How did this impact business for you?
Well, it happened about 4 years ago. They realized the greening, the bacteria that was causing trees to basically, when they got to maturity, the fruit that would drop off the trees. So it started affecting them then with the bacteria. And they really haven't, as of today, really come up with a fix for the bacteria or a cure for the bacteria that's in the trees. They've got different grades of trees that they're growing now to help that. And then they're still waiting for the day to come up with that. And it's not like they could fix it immediately, but like putting penicillin in a tree and it affect everybody else, so they couldn't use that to control it. So they've come a long ways. Right now, it's been almost 5 years. It's going to be 5 years. But what happened about in 2017 is the hurricane also came through and damaged the trees. It blew all the fruit off. So they're recouping a lot of that. This year should be a very good year for them, probably a 50% increase over the previous year on that. So what has happened also in that time is it's caused the packing houses to not have fruit to run. So there's a packing house that was over 100 years old that actually closed down. The other packing houses have actually taken on blueberries that they're packing now. Some of them actually went out there and planted peaches in the place of the citrus groves. So it's given them another opportunity to be able to survive in some of them, but there's only a handful of packing houses left out there now.
So with the shrinking of packing houses, how does this affect business for Toyota equipment?
They're, with the packing houses, we were selling multiple forklifts with them because they were running, 20 hours a day at sometimes just to keep up with all the packing. Most of it now has gone. When they went away, most of it's gone to the processing plants, but the business with the packing houses is, there's only maybe 2 or 3 now that's doing it. So that business there kind of went away, which was probably, I would say a quarter of our business, 25-30% of our business.
Wow, that's quite a bit. So the customers you got to keep, what are some strategies that you use to help keep them with Toyota?
It's in which I've been fortunate because I've been in Polk County for over 30 years now. I've been in the business like 38 years with the forklift business. But in Polk County, I came from Orlando, and Orlando market is very different than the Polk County market. Orlando market is more of a larger metropolitan area, same as like Tampa. But in Polk County, there's always been a capability of forming relationships and then just building on the relationships to be successful. And in Polk County, you have that atmosphere more than you do in the large metropolitan area. It's changed a lot because of the large corporations more coming into Polk County, and that's what's kind of increased our business and allowed us to, make up the difference in the ones that we lost because of the citrus greening and the fruit decline out there.
Okay, so building relationships with people in Polk County versus a more metropolitan area, what are the biggest differences you notice? Are people here more laid back, or are they more apt to buy from someone they're connected to personally or someone they like on a personal level?
Yeah, The biggest thing in relationships and what I've always done is, and I can go to any customer in this area that I've worked with, and I can walk in the door and they'll greet me and be real courteous with me. And I do have a lot of population of the equipment here, more than anybody else really. And our branch is larger than anybody else's here. But what it means is just taking care of the customer and being like a sustaining resource for them.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, you just got to go in there and you got to help them in any way you can. You see an area where you can help them improve by moving their product faster, or putting it into an area where they can utilize the area a lot more than that they were doing. And then just get their product to market. That's the whole thing, is what a forklift is for storage and also getting it out the door so they can be more profitable in that area. So the biggest thing is just taking care of the customer, and then always be honest with the customer and let them know that you're there for them when they need it, is the biggest thing out there. And if you can do that, when it comes time for them to buy again, they'll look at that, because I probably got about 10 to 12 competitors out there that are trying to sell that same product, not the same product, but the same concept out there.
Mm-hmm.
And basically a forklift needs to go from A to B. And there's a lot of them out there to go to A to B. But the problem is the support. When you have a unit down, you've got to be there for them you got to be there fast for them. You got to have the parts to repair it. And our business is not like you bring the equipment. We have to go to the customer and service the equipment. And just in the Polk County area, we have like 19 technicians working out of our Winter Haven branch over there.
Mm-hmm.
So we're able to service a customer. A lot of our competition comes from Tampa or Orlando to come in. So we've got a facility, full-fledged facility, to do all the service, parts, and rentals that are needed for the customer. So we've got a support team out there better than anybody else. And that's helped us thrive, and it's helped us continue the relationships out there in business.
Do any of the packing house managers ever call you out and say, hey Charlie, we have this old forklift out here, it's doing the job, but we think it's time for an upgrade? Do you go out there and give them an analysis and maybe give them some benefits of your equipment, stuff like that?
What we have too is we've got an analytical department that there's a VP of analyticals, and that's what he does is he puts together in our operating system. We have all this information, but it's really not any good if you can't extract it to help the customer. So what we do is he's put together a program, and he's a very brilliant guy. He can code and all that stuff. And I'm not sure exactly, I don't know all about that, but what he's been able to do is extract a report from our operating system. And that means that we can run a report for the customer and show him, how much money he spent on parts, how much money he spent on repairs, how much on rentals, how much on tires, how much everything that we build that customer, we can put it in a report so he can analyze if he needs to. And we sit down with him quarterly and say, this forklift needs to be replaced, and this is why, because it's costing you this amount of dollars per hour to run the forklift. Or this one, you've got a lot of damage going on with your fleet, and we can pull out the certain forklift, what's having all these damages, and then we can go out there and walk in his area, his plant, and say, this is what's causing the damages. Or it's an operator. You need to do something about the operator that's running that forklift.
Mm-hmm. So
that's how we work together and support him with an analysis of what's going on with his forklifts to help him do that. So.
Interesting. So when you go into a business meeting and you know that you don't already have this customer's business, say they are a citrus farmer from Central Florida and they're working with a competitor. They've been with a competitor for a long, long time and they're hesitant to even speak with you about Toyota products. How do you gain trust with that person? How do you even begin to build a relationship with someone who is kind of uninterested?
It's not using our product and stuff out there. Toyota, we're fortunate because Toyota's got a name. So there's different tools that I have that we've put together in a presentation that I put together that has like different things that Toyota has done well out there. with their equipment. And you know, Toyota, just like their cars, are like number one. We sell like 3 or 4 more forklifts than anybody in the world, the Toyota product line. And we talk about all the benefits of Toyota, and then we talk about our support, and that basically helps us get deals. We don't get all deals, because when it gets down to it, a lot of the customers, and that's what's kind of sad a lot of times, if with relationships out there, and especially companies coming into town, they look at the dollar a lot of times. And when they look at that, Toyota's not the cheapest forklift out there by no means. And our services that we render cost money. So it's very expensive for us to keep our vans, the 19 vans on the road out there, and keep a nice van with all the tools and everything the guy needs and parts on there. So it costs us more to give that service, so it pays, you know, you got to pay more for it. And a lot of time the customer cannot justify that he's going to pay for those services, or they just looked at the bottom line. So that's, you know, we don't get all the business out there, but the people that will sit down and look at it, then we usually are successful getting it.
Do you recontact the people who are worried about price? Like maybe it's the end of the fiscal year and you say, okay, we might be a little bit cheaper because we have these models that are about to be a year old, or things like that?
They're Toyota, for some reason, and I think they do it to try to generate business at the end of the year, because they always want to make sure they're number one in the world kind of thing. So they try to get a lot of business, and normally the last quarter of the year is when we do get a lot of business, and it's because of Toyota has special deals out there, special rebates out there, and they try to get as much business at the end of the year as they can. And a lot of people, like you said, they have money to spend at the end of the year because it's their fiscal year ending at the end of December, so they have to spend the money. So we get that business, but there, I think a lot of that, it's programs that they put together to help generate business at the end of the year. So
Well,
it's good.
Thank you so much, Mr. Charlie. Before we close, is there one particular instance that you're really proud of, one sale that you closed that you didn't expect to, that you want to share about, or anything like that?
They're all special to me. Every time, you know, it's in your blood that, you know, anytime you get a deal, whether it be small or big, it's always exciting. And really, in my line of work, once you get the deal, that's when the work starts, the most of it, because there's paperwork and making sure the specs are correct on the forklift. So every deal's special to me.
A lot of follow-up.
Yeah. But the ones that I guess that I'm in through the heat of the competition, and we did have one that just, you know, all they were looking at, I was dealing with the CFO, and all they were looking at is the bottom line. You know, I'm sorry, I can't do business with you because you're $6,000 higher than your competition. So I had to go back there and explain to him, you know, what they were looking at. And it was a particular brand that they put like 3 or 4 different manufacturers together to come up with this. And the company that was supporting was a small company. They had maybe 1 technician in the area, and they just didn't have the backing for that. So I had to go through that process, making sure, you know, I understand I'm higher, but look at these different things. Look at the, you know, the size of the dealer to support you. Look at the equipment you're looking at buying, and looking at the background of the dealer that's supporting it, and also
Right, you're getting Toyota.
Yeah, and look at the area that you were in, because this customer was in frostproof. So frostproof is not an easy area for anybody to maintain, and especially somebody having to come from a Tampa or Orlando, where we're here in Winter Haven, to support him. So you had to bring out all those things to get the deal. And at the end of the day, we ended up getting the deal and convincing that CFO that, and he told me too, he said, you're still higher, but we do feel like we've got a better opportunity with you guys. So
Yeah.
that's probably one that we won this year. That it was probably a tough one, but it was rewarding at the time.
You won them over with the added value.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I
Okay.
appreciate your
All right.
time.
You're welcome.